Israel just bombed Doha. Yes, Doha, the capital of Qatar. Not Gaza, not Lebanon. Doha. A city with America's biggest military base in the Middle East. And here's the kicker, America didn't stop it. Think about that for a second. If Iran fires one drone, US air defenses light up like festive fireworks. But when Israel sends 12 fighter jets and 12 helicopters all the way to Qatar, silence, no interception, no defense, nothing. So the real question is, was this Israel's operation or America's green light? Here's what went down. Reports say Israeli jets targeted a building in Doha where Hamas negotiators were meeting. The mission, take out Hamas leadership, especially Khalil al-Hayya. Now, Israel thought this was their Mission Impossible moment. 12 jets, 12 helicopters, coordinated strike. They expected to walk away saying, we killed Hamas's top brass. Instead, total fail. 5 people died, but Hamas leaders walked out alive. Hamas even released photos of Khalil al-Hayya smiling, waving, looking like he just survived a Netflix assassination drama. For Israel, this was embarrassing. For America, even more awkward, because everyone's asking, how did Israel just cross multiple countries and bomb Qatar without US permission? Now let's do some quick geography. Israel to Qatar is not a straight shot. To reach Doha, you have to fly over Jordan, Syria, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. 4 countries, 4 airspaces, all heavily monitored by the US. So either Israel has Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, or America knew. And if America knew, then the story is simple. This wasn't just Israel's strike, it was a US-Israel joint operation. When the news broke, the US gave the weakest excuse ever. They said, oh, we informed Qatar. But after the attack already happened. Really? That's like telling someone, by the way, I drove your car into a wall after the fact, sorry. Qatar claims they got a message at 3:52 a.m., but the attack happened at 3:42 a.m., 10 minutes earlier. By then, bombs had already dropped, buildings had already collapsed, and Hamas leaders had already escaped. So the US basically said, yeah, we warned you, after it was too late. That's not a warning, that's a cover-up. But this isn't just about one failed strike. This is about the bigger game. Because every time there's a so-called peace deal, Israel uses it as bait. Remember, they were negotiating with Hezbollah. Then suddenly, boom, Hassan Nasrallah was assassinated. Same with Iran. Talks happening on one side, Israeli strikes killing scientists on the other. This Doha strike followed the same playbook. Trump dangles a ceasefire deal in front of Hamas. They gather in Doha to discuss, and Israel launches an assassination attempt. It's not peace talks, it's a trap. And of course, Donald Trump, the man who treats foreign policy like a WWE storyline, he tells Hamas, this is your last chance for peace. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Israel prepares an ambush. When it fails, Trump plays dumb. Netanyahu says, it was only us, America had no role. Yeah, right, because Israeli jets just magically flew through multiple US-controlled airspaces without permission. Please. The truth, Trump knew, and Netanyahu covered, because at this point, Trump isn't running foreign policy, Netanyahu is. But here's a bigger tragedy. Arab states, the so-called Muslim world, they do nothing. Israel bombs Doha, the capital of Qatar, and what do Arab leaders do? Release statements, condemnations, strongly worded letters, basically diplomatic emojis. That's it. And why? Because they are tied to US money and US military power. America says sit, they sit. America says stay quiet, they stay quiet. It's why Saudi, Jordan, Qatar all play this balancing act. They condemn on TV, but behind the scenes they maintain trade with Israel. And Qatar don't think they're innocent either. Hamas headquarters is in Doha, not because Qatar loves Hamas, but because the US told them in 2012, host Hamas. That way, if we ever need negotiations, they're right there. That's not support, that's a setup. Qatar's role has always been to play middleman, not freedom fighter. Remember those viral photos of Qatar's emir shaking hands with Israel's President Herzog? That wasn't Photoshop, that was diplomacy. So when Qatar crimes victim now, the world shrugs, because they played both sides for years. Now here's why this matters. If Israel can bomb Doha and get away with it, what's next? Israeli journalists are already hinting the next target is Turkey. Yes, Turkey, a NATO member, a country with one of the largest militaries in the region. If Israel strikes Turkey, you think NATO will intervene? Or will America pull the same move, look away, pretend surprised, and then send a memo after the attack? And if Turkey is vulnerable, then every Arab country is vulnerable. Because Israel's project isn't defense anymore. It's expansion. It's about greater Israel. And that's why resistance groups Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis exist, because the governments of the region are bought out. The only real opposition comes from the people on the ground. The irony, Arab leaders fear their own people more than they fear Israel. They know if they openly betray Palestine, the citizens could revolt. That's why they do this fake condemnation dance. Statements on one hand, secret deals on the other. But the people in Gaza, in Lebanon, even in Jordan and Saudi, they know. That's why resistance movements survive. And let's not forget the West. When Palestinians fight back, it's terrorism. But when Israel drops bomb on Gaza schools, hospitals, or now Doha, it's self-defense. Western leaders release the same template statement. We condemn violence, but Israel has the right to defend itself. No one asks, defend itself from what? from the people whose land it occupies, from the civilians it bombs daily. The double standard is not just hypocrisy, it's state-sanctioned racism. So let's connect the dots. Israel bombs Doha, Hamas leaders survive, America pretends it didn't know. Arab states issue useless condemnations, and the cycle continues. But here's the real lesson. If Palestine isn't resolved, the entire Middle East is doomed to endless war. Israel's expansionist dream doesn't stop at Gaza. It doesn't stop at Lebanon. It won't stop at Qatar. Tomorrow it could be Saudi, Jordan, or Turkey. And when that happens, America won't save them. Because America doesn't see allies, it sees assets, expendable assets. So the question is not whether Arab leaders will wake up, because they won't. The real question is, will the people of the region accept this future or resist it at any cost? Because history shows us one thing: when leaders sell out, resistance becomes inevitable. That's it for today's breakdown. If you found this analysis valuable, hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories the mainstream media won't touch. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay critical.